Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching the Daily Debate, and always a pleasure and an honor to have with us His Excellency Ambassador Huseyin Avni Botsalı, who is the Turkish ambassador to Egypt. Excellency, thank you very much for coming to Nile International.
Thank you for inviting me, Mrs. Tahrid. It's always a privilege.
Thank you, sir. Well, starting off by talking, of course, about Turkey and a model for Arab Spring nations, the common grounds, as you see them, between Turkey and the Arab Spring countries, what would you tell us?
Well, first of all, one has to make a clarification. Neither the Turkish government nor the Turkish environment is talking about being a model, being a role model for neither any region or any specific country. But there is one thing also which is very important because of commonality of history, culture, religion, and a lot of other shared values. There is every reason for the regional countries to draw upon from Turkish experiences.
Right.
Turkish experiences are not always success stories. We have been going through this particularly multi-party democratical experiment since 1946, and we had two interruptions, as you would recall, and so there has not always been easy, the situation Turkey faced with a lot of hurdles, ups and downs. So our success stories as well as our lesser successes or sometimes failures might be an interesting example to watch, to compare.
Right.
From that point, I think it is pertinent that Turkey becomes a center of attraction in the region, and we would very much welcome to be of some positive influence wherever we can.
Right. Mr. Ambassador, you talked about lessons taught from experiences. They are not all the time successes. If you would just give us clues on those lessons taught and how it was like an inspiration for a leap forward for Turkey.
Well, first of all, every nation has its own indigenous path.
Right.
And no outside prescriptions or ready-made recipes would fit in. There is no one formula fitting everybody in the democratic experience. In the case of Turkey, I would say in the later episode of our contemporary history, developments starting in 1980, after the 12th of September military intervention, are very important for our own destiny, as well as for several of our friendly neighboring countries around. And the essential thing was, when we were in 1980, Turkey was economically not fitting in its mold. We have a rapidly growing population. We used to be a predominantly agrarian country with lots of ambitions and interaction with Europe, with the West, but we were not able to match with their production level, with their educational level, with their social interaction level and institutional basis, both in commerce, in political life, in judiciary life, and in legislative life. So we had to definitely make a major leap forward to catch up with the contemporary developments of the 20th century and prepare for the 21st century. We had lots of shortcomings, so we had to swallow a lot of bitter pills and to make dramatical decisions, bold decisions, courageous decisions, and sacrifices to transform the country so that we can catch up with the more advanced, developed partners and friends.
All right. Talk to us about the transformation process and the leap forward. Would you shed light on Turkey's political experience in that domain? We are embarking actually on an historic era in Egypt with the new president, the presidential elections underway. How do you see those developments and Egypt in the transition? Are there any similarities with Turkey?
To a certain extent, there are similarities, but there are also very clear differences because, as I said, geopolitically, historically, every country has its own particular experience. In the case of Turkey, we can talk about two major episodes. One was the dramatic transformation of economic life and institutions, starting from late President Turgut Özal's 24th January 1980 package of reforms. That managed to transform, to bring Turkey up to the higher standard of Europe, started the wheel rolling on adjusting, harmonizing our legislation, our import and export rules, our investment rules, investment incentives, privatization effort, liberal market economy reforms, and the banking sector, building up businesses which can cope up with global players in multinational system. And then the second episode is starting from the year 2002, when the current government came to power, and they are into their third consecutive term, as you know, as a one-party strong executive mechanism, and with a legislative fully supportive of the government. So that has made also possible for Turkey, which has already transformed its legal system and moved from agricultural economy into an industry-based, export-oriented, open economy integrated to the global system. Now, the decisions had to continue: financial discipline, export-oriented policies, expansion of manufacturing bases, bringing in high technologies, and developing Turkey's own production powerhouse within some kind of a political harmony and consensus. I think we haven't done so badly throughout the last 9 years.
Right.
We are proud of that. And I believe Egypt has a tremendous potentials because of its geopolitics, because of its natural leadership in the region, because of its civilizational basis, and because of also the global balances in the Eastern Mediterranean, in Africa, and in the Middle East, to serve as a stabilizing and rapidly developing major actor in this region. And we would very much like to see Egypt coming out of this transition as a stronger regional actor, a regional leader with which we will strategically work together in development, in stabilization, in preserving peace, as well as in social and cultural interaction.
Yeah.
But everything depends on economy, and then education, and then education and education again.
Definitely.
So our population is in the whole region, whether it's the Northern Africa, whether it's Middle East, whether it's the Arab world or the Islamic world or the Eastern Mediterranean. Now the people are aspiring that their future or even current administrations listen to their aspirations.
Definitely.
And move on towards political and economic reforms to satisfy and to respond to the expectations of
and the needs
masses.
of the people.
Yes.
Yeah. Mr. Ambassador, talking about the ingredients of success, you've mentioned IT, you've mentioned the social dimension as well. How did all those ingredients serve Turkey on the path of a rich democratic experience and transition?
First of all, the Turkish experience is still very much a work in progress. And, you know, success is never guaranteed, so you have to really keep the commitment both on the part of the executive, the legislative, the judiciary, but on the top of everything and as a basis for everything on the part of the people. So you need a new social covenant which will give the aspiration and the conviction to all Egyptians that this country belongs to all Egyptians, and in the new Egypt there has to be a collective part-taking and partnership and sharing the responsibility. So I think it is high time, and as we did once in Turkey, and we keep on trying again and again, that all the political forces take one step back and put their personal or group interests and priorities and agendas on one side, and engage in a broad national dialogue and consensus building for collective commitment to embetterment towards a future with hope, so that we can offer better conditions and a better lifestyle and better living standards to our future generations. This is something we owe to them. And I think Egyptians, in grosso modo, are very much conscious of that. Though you shouldn't be worried and you shouldn't be pessimistic about the ongoing debates that the voices will go up from time to time. This is the reality of democracy. And until people, you know, we don't come to this world. We are not born with democracy in our genes. This is something that you learn by trial. You learn by experiment. you learn by experience. And this comes in time. And I believe Egypt has already, the people of Egypt has proven several times in history and the most recent experience since the Tahrir Revolution that this nation is a peaceful nation, and they are capable of change, and they have risen up for a democratic future, and they will show the endurance and the vision and the commitment and the political cohesion one way or another. Of course, you need to build a new balance so that everybody will feel that they have some stakes in it, and nobody will feel they are excluded and neglected, that Egypt can move forward.
Right.
I am one optimist, of course, recognizing the difficulties ahead of your nation, your government, your country, your leadership, that Egypt is going to succeed.
Yeah, hopefully a very optimistic note, and trying to make use of that optimistic note and grasping still on Egypt's potential, what Egypt has to offer. Mr. Ambassador, during your tenure as Ambassador of Turkey to Egypt, what are plans for New Egypt? What are the priorities set now for Egypt after the revolution on your agenda?
Well, first of all, our immediate approach was to maintain the pace of positive developments in our bilateral relations, and I think there is a gross consensus on that. I can happily report that throughout the year 2011, our bilateral relations continued to expand in the right direction. Our trade has increased nearly by 30%, which is even healthier. On this development is that Egyptian exports to Turkey increased by 50% net. Egypt used to export to Turkey around $900 million. And in last year, you hit and you exceeded $1.5 billion. So this is very good. That means the Turkish economy is actually providing liquidity much needed in Egypt at the moment. Secondly, political relations. After 16 or 15 and a half years of interval, our top executive Prime Minister Recep Tayyip Erdogan has conducted a very successful visit. It was very well received by all segments of the society, the government, the leadership. And this will open new prospects of stability and more cooperation in the Eastern Mediterranean, in the Middle East, because we see eye to eye with Egypt on almost all the regional issues and problems. And I think our solidarity and our cooperation will bring a vibrant spirit of consensus, a spirit of solidarity, spirit of security, and spirit of stability in this region. We have a lot of work to do to rediscover actually our common values, starting with cultural and historic values, preserve our common structures of architecture, historic buildings, both here and in Turkey. And there's much more to also bring in, further diversify our investments in Egypt. We want very much. The prime ministers, the Egyptian and Turkish prime ministers, set the target of increasing Turkey's investments here from $1.5 to $5 billion. And we want to double up the bilateral trade and start working in Africa, starting with Libya, with Sudan, in Palestine. I hope the peace process will move forward in the Middle East so that we can help rebuilding Palestine together. Turkish and Egyptian contractors must work together, and we can offer a lot to the Nile Basin countries in terms of energy infrastructures, construction, economic, trade transactions. I believe when Turks and Egyptians get together, there will be a new synergy, and Africa, Asia, and Europe will get closer.
Definitely, Africa is a top priority. We'll see a sense of coordination between Egypt and Turkey in that regard. We'll talk also about the political scene once again in Turkey, the ruling party, the Justice and Development Party, and more. And so we'll go to a break, and we'll be back.